Hello students, and welcome to Unit 3. So the video I asked you to watch before was about stress and how to make stress your friend. Stress in math class tends to lead to something known as math anxiety. So we're going to talk about that in this unit, and I wanted to kind of bring up a little bit from the last video. There's a shortened version of the video, and I'm going to jump to that right now. Let's listen to a couple key pieces here that Kelly McGonigal was describing.
Normally, we interpret these physical changes as anxiety, but what if you viewed them instead as signs that your body was preparing you to meet this challenge? Now, that is exactly what participants were told in a study conducted at Harvard University. And participants who learned to view the stress response as helpful, well, they were less stressed out, less anxious, more confident, their physical stress response changed. Now, in a typical stress response, your heart rate goes up and your blood vessels constrict. But in the study, when participants viewed their stress response as helpful, their blood vessels stayed relaxed like this. Their heart was still pounding, but this is a much healthier cardiovascular profile. It's a lot like what happens in moments of courage. We need to talk about a hormone, oxytocin. Oxytocin makes you crave physical contact with your friends and family. It enhances your empathy. Your pituitary gland pumps this stuff out as part of the stress response. And one of its main roles in your body is to protect your cardiovascular system from the effects of stress. Your heart has receptors for this hormone, and oxytocin helps heart cells regenerate from any stress-induced damage. I want to finish by telling you about one more study. This study tracked about 1,000 adults in the United States, and they started the study by asking, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? They also asked, how much time have you spent helping out friends? People who spent time caring for others showed absolutely no stress-related increase in dying, zero. When you choose to view your stress response as helpful, you create the biology of courage. And when you choose to connect with others under stress, you can create resilience. Thank you.
Okay, so what Kelly was describing there is that we have a role to play in our stress. We can let it control our lives, we can let it control how we react, or we can be more critical and think about it and say, wait a minute, my heart is pumping more blood because I'm getting ready for a math test. So these are kind of the ways, the good and the bad parts about stress. Hopefully, as you think about coming to a math class, you begin to tell yourself, wait a minute, I'm getting a little bit more stress coming in, but it's because I'm preparing for a challenge. I'm getting ready to take a math class that people told me I couldn't do, or that maybe I didn't think I could do, but now I'm going to take this challenge on. And again, it brings up the idea of courage. So what does math anxiety look like? Well, there are many symptoms of math anxiety, and I think many of you may have felt these before. So sometimes you might cringe if you go to math class, being afraid to ask questions in math class. And from a teacher, it's hard to hear, because math class is the time when you should be asking questions. It's the time when you're not looking stupid, as some people say. I don't want to look stupid in class, so I don't want to be called on. But instead, it's a chance to say, I'm learning this, so I should be questioning it so that I understand it better. And again, at the bottom, you see people, math anxiety comments saying, it's really clear to me when I'm in class, but when I go home, it's like I was never there. And I think that brings back up what we talked about previously with the way your brain processes things. You have to be active and practice. And that might mean that during class, if you can, instead of just doing it kind of on your own, work with the teacher and be kind of going through the problem yourself instead of just being what's called passive. Make yourself an active participant so that you'll remember more about it later. Well, let's talk briefly about the definition of math anxiety. And here's one, the feelings of fear, apprehension, or dread that they experience when they're in situations that require solving math problems. And I've put a cute little picture in here because I think this picture is really indicative of what we call the cycle of failure. People have a negative math experience, and that's what's on top, and it leads down to people avoiding math. Well, if you avoid math, then you're not prepared for math when it does happen, which leads to a poor math performance, which again, that creates a negative math experience. And we end up in this endless loop, this cycle of math anxiety failure. So something to be aware of, the causes of math anxiety. The fear of failure. Again, that comes from that fixed mindset. The fear of public embarrassment. That's something that you can kind of get through by saying, I don't need to be embarrassed. The fact that I don't know the math is why I'm taking the class. Ineffective study skills. And at times, math anxiety can be caused by teacher influence. If your teacher is not supportive, and some of you may have had those experiences in a math class. So what's interesting is as you have these anxiety feelings, as Kelly was talking about, the feelings of almost stress coming on, there are things that are psychological symptoms. These are things that happen inside your head. So you might feel yourself getting stressed out, but do you ever talk to yourself about the stress that you're feeling? Do you ever kind of try to give a reason to it? So here's some psychological symptoms of the anxiety. You have this fight or flight feeling, negative self-talk, panic, fear, extreme tension, nervousness, and even for many students, an inability to recall the material that was studied. And what happens is a different part of your brain becomes active, the part that says we have to fight or flight. And that really keeps your brain from being able to access the areas that we grew all those dendrites in. All of that studying, unfortunately, can be kind of washed away with this. So we have to be cognizant of it, we have to think about it, and we have to be able to react to it. Now, for many people, they actually have physical symptoms of anxiety. And that's what you can actually feel in your body, not just in your head. You know, the clammy hands, the kind of the upset stomach or the queasy stomach, the heartbeat that increases. Remember, Kelly talked about this is a natural response to stress. Sometimes you get tight shoulders, headaches, dry mouth, shortness of breath. Again, a lot of these are happening because of stress. What we can do, if we rethink why the stress is coming and tell ourselves that this is actually here to help us, it might benefit us in the long run. And speaking about the long run, as you get ready for your calculus class, or really any college class, we wanted to add some bonus videos here that can help you focus on some study strategies. What do you do to prepare for math courses during the week? So here are some short videos. They include some study tips. There are 2 different ones. Both of them are kind of summaries. If you're interested, there is a longer study video here. This one comes from a 50-minute lecture, one of our colleagues up at Pierce College. And down below are the reflection questions, which kind of help you focus. Hey, how do I study for a math class? How do I study in general? And what are the areas that I struggle with? And why are they a struggle? And I've added in a few pieces here too that might help you focus as you are maybe studying. So research has shown that if you have music that doesn't have any words, it can help you focus because you don't get as distracted. I hope these help you, and we look forward to seeing you later. Please direct any questions to either Jen or myself if you do have any of those. And that should about do it for now. All right, off you go.